guys, welcome back to class again today. Okay, so in today's video I'm going to be linking the picture of the design that we're going to be creating today. Okay, so I have my front bodice here and I have a basic skirt here. Okay, so I'm going to be making a dress. This dress is going to be having half length. So I also have a princess dart which I drafted here. I already have a video in my channel where I taught how to create a princess dart. I also have a video where I showed how you can create your own basic bodice. Okay, so I'm just going to be using this basic bodice today, my basic bodice pattern for this tutorial today. This is actually for a client. Okay, so my basic bodice has a bust dart. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to close my bust dart. Okay, so this is going to be like an illusion neckline. Okay, this is going to be an illusion neckline. So I'm going to, if you want to learn how to make this particular design, keep watching this video. Okay, so I'm just closing my bust dart here. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just closing out my bust dart. Okay, so I'll place it back down. The half length I'm working with today is 16 inches. So perfect. So yeah, I'm just checking all of my measurements to see if they are right, if I'm going to be adding more measurements. Okay, so I need to fold this back down. It's too much, so I don't waste this lace fabric. So first I'll cut out my bodice, guys. So I'll just use my pin to pin this all the way down. So I'm cutting this on fold. Okay, so I'm also going to cut the back same like this. Okay, so I'm also going to close my waist dart actually, because I'm not going to be sewing a dart on this pattern. So I'm just closing out all of my darts. So all the dart is going to come on the lining. I'm going to be using this princess dart bustier pattern to cut the lining piece. Okay, so that's where the illusion design is going to come up. So I'll link the picture here. You guys will see exactly what I'm trying to sew. Okay, the lace is just going to be cut as a full bodice, but all of the illusion design goes to the lining. So that is why I have a princess dart here that I'm going to be using as the lining piece. So see what we have, guys. So I'm just going to pin this together. So it's very important when you are not going to be sewing a dart in any garment that you are making, for you to make sure that you close out all of the darts. Okay, just the way I've done here. So guys, you can see I also eradicated my dart, though I did that off camera. That is why I have this sellotape here. Okay, so I just totally cut out my dart from the skirt pattern, because I'm not going to be sewing a dart here on this pattern. Okay, so now the skirt part is cut out, and now I have the skirt part and I have the top part. Okay, so I'll take this out as well, so I can also cut the lining. So the lining is where all of the illusion is going to come in. Okay, I have 10 here. I have 10. So it's very important. I want to make sure my skirt part and the upper part, they are the same. Okay, that's very, very important, guys. So you don't want to run into trouble when you start sewing. I want them to be accurate. So I'm just going to measure this. This is 10. And actually the waist that we're working with, the natural waist that I was working with is 8 inches, which is 32 inches. So I have 2 inches seam allowance on the skirt. So I'm also just going to make sure the bodice part has the same allowance, so they are equal. Okay. So this is very important you do this, guys. So now I have the lower part and I have the upper part. I'm going to repeat the same process for the back. I already have my back bodice here as well. I'm going to repeat the same process for the back. Then now we'll go over to the lining. So I'll keep this front piece, I'll keep them aside now. Then I'll pick the lining. We are going to be cutting the lining, so I'll cut the back off camera exactly the same way I cut the front. That's how I'm going to be cutting the back of the lace. There's not going to be any dart on the lace at all of the dart is going to be coming to the lining. So I'll keep this aside. Then I want to bring the skirt. Thing I want to do here, I'm going to be bringing my princess dart bustier. Okay, if you have watched my first video where I taught how to make an illusion neckline, you will understand what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to use my seal tape to join this together so I can alter it. So guys, I've joined my patterns together, okay, as we can see. So now I'm not going to start altering this pattern, okay. So I have to join them together so that it will be easy for me to alter it. Then after altering it, I will now separate it. So the first thing I'm going to be doing here, if you look at the design that we're trying to create correctly, you see that there's kind of a deep sweetheart around here, okay, but it didn't get to the end, okay. I'm just going to stop it at the princess. I'm going to stop it at the under bust area, okay. It didn't get to the all the way to the end. So the first thing I'm going to do is to come over here to my armhole area. I'm going to be using 5" around there, okay. So I'm going to also come to this mid part. I'm going to open it by 1 inch, okay, so that by the time I cut on fold, that part will be as open as 2 inch. That's totally your preference. If you watch my first video, you will understand what I'm trying to create here. So, and I'm just going to connect this, okay, this opening of 2 inches of 1 inch. I'm going to connect it all the way down like so, okay. So this is what I'm going to do. So maybe I think I should take it up a little bit. That's just the good part of joining your patterns together, okay. I want to take it up to 4 inches. I think I'll like it better that way. So then I can now continue to alter it. Then I'll bring it all the way down like so. It's a deep sweetheart, okay. So at the bust line area, I went in by 1 inch. So but at this part where I want it to stop, I'm going to be using 0.25 because by the time I open, I want it to come to half an inch, okay. So I'm going to now connect it like so. So this is exactly what I'm going to be taking away from my lining, okay. So this is how it's going to go, like this. This is 0.25, this is 1 inch, and I'm going to connect it all the way like so to 4 inch around my armhole, so but that can be any measurement that you prefer, but I decided to use 4 inch. So I'm going to do like so. I'm going to cut this out if I'm happy and I'm okay with what I have so far. So I'll just take this out. So this is the part I'm not going to be using. So like the first video where I taught about illusion neckline, we use this part to replace the mesh. We use this part to replace the mesh, okay. So but I'm not going to be using, this is the only part I'm going to be using for this tutorial today. So anyway, let me just take it to the end part. That's one beauty of pattern drafting, okay. You can do whatever you wish. I took it down to the waistline. So this is, so if you are going to be replacing it as a yoke, maybe you wanted to cut it separately, this would have been a yoke, okay. But in this case, I'm not using this part anymore. I'm going to take that off and I'll throw it all the way out. This is the only part I'm going to be using as my lining, okay. So I'll take this out. Then I'll now separate my pieces, okay. I'll just go ahead to separate my pattern piece. I'll try to do this slightly. You want to do this slightly and slowly because you don't want to ruin your pattern, okay. I'll bring my lining. Bring my lining. So I'm going to place this, and I'm also going to place this. I'll close it out a little bit so I don't waste my lining, okay? So I'll take my pins and I'll pin this out. So this is what we have at the end of the day. So we're going to join these two together, to create the illusion around all of these parts. And this is our full front bodies. You can see, so you can just have a little glimpse of what our illusion neckline is going to be looking like at the end of the day. Can you see? So I just wanted to show us what it's going to look like. We're going to have all of this space in the middle here, okay? So after joining that inner piece, so we're going to have all of this space around here, around all of this part, okay? So I'll cut the back pattern. I'll repeat this times 2, then I'll go ahead to cut out my breast part to this pattern. So then we'll go over to the sewing part, okay? Hi guys, as you can see, all of my patterns are cut out. I've also gone ahead to add a breast wadding to the lining, okay? I'm using the softest wadding here, okay? So now that I've cut out all of my patterns, we're going to start joining that part. So here is also the skirt part. I've also cut out my lining for the lower skirt, and I've cut out my lining for the upper bodies, okay? So we're going to be going to the sewing machine to sew all of these patterns out. So I'd like you guys to keep on watching, because there are a lot of details in this video that you will learn from. So here is the front pattern cut out with the lining and the lace and the upper bodies. So I'm just trying to make sure that they are all accurate and all properly cut out, okay? So the next thing we'll do now is to take them to the sewing machine, and we're going to be sewing all of our fabric out. Hi guys, as you can see, I've joined the skirt part together with the lining. I've turned it with the lining. So I'm going to go ahead to give it a really good press, guys. You don't want to miss that when you are making any garment, okay? Especially when you are making lace. This my lace is a little bit stretchy, guys, so I'm going to give you guys a little hint here. So when you are making a lace that stretches and you are using a lining that doesn't stretch, make sure to make your lining a little bit bigger than your lace. It will really help you when you are shaping it, and it makes your work easier, okay? It avoids bubbles and allowing the lace to jump or to look, I don't know how to explain that though, but just take these tricks. It's been helping me, and it's been working out for me, okay? So now I'm using a satin lining, and my lace stretches and my satin doesn't stretch, so I made sure I cut them out a little bit wider than the lace itself. So here's the illusion part, the lining part of the upper bodies. Like I said, all of the illusion are going to be going to the lining, okay? So here I've joined my princess seam together. I've joined all of the seams together, so I'm just making sure it's looking nice and neat. I'm also going to give it a really good press, okay? So here's the upper bodies. I'm just bringing it to lie on top of the lining, just to see how my pattern is going to be, how my fabric is going to be formed out. So I'm going to arrange it properly. So here I'm just arranging it properly to make sure they are both laying flat. As you can remember from the pattern when we're drafting it, altering the pattern, we actually left some space in between these two cups, okay? That is how I'm just trying to arrange it. I'm going to start trying to put in my measurement. Remember, I used 1 inch at the middle part, and I use a 0.52 inch at the bottom part, okay? So I'm just going to pin them together. When you are doing things like this, you really need to take your time. You don't need to rush when you are making something like this, because this is a very technical sewing, okay? So I'm just taking my time to pin the lace together with the lining, okay? So after pinning, I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and I'm going to just secure them together at the side seam and at the armhole area. Okay, so now I've secured them together already. As you can see, I secured them at the side seam. Okay, you see it's been secured at the side seam, and I've also gone ahead to add my breast cup to it, guys. Okay, as you can see, I've also added my breast cup. You can never ever make an illusion neckline without adding a breast cup, okay? Because as you all know, for illusion neckline, you can see that the upper part is all open. You don't want your client to wear the bra inside and they're going to be seeing the bra strap, okay? So you should always add a breast cup to your illusion neckline. So now the next thing I want to do is to bring the second lining. Like I said before, I was going to cut 2 of the lining, okay? So I'm going to just place it on top of the lace like so. So just watch closely, guys, what I'm going to try to do here. Okay, see, I'm just going to flip the lace over. I'll place this on top of the lace because we are not sewing on the lace. Okay, so I'm just trying to use this second lining to turn the inner lining and to also turn the lace and the inner lining at the side seam. So I'm just going to be pinning it all the way around. I'm using it to turn all of the illusion neckline around the princess seam. So just watch closely. I'm moving the lace away from the mid part, but the lace is still secure to the side seam. I'm not moving it away from the side seam. So I'm just pinning. So after pinning, I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew all of this up, and I'll show you guys what that looks like in a bit. Hi guys, so yeah, I've sewn my patterns together. Okay, I've sewn the both lining together, so I'm just trying to flip it over for you guys to see. So I'm just going to be flipping it to the good side so you guys can see what we have. So after flipping it, I'm also going to make sure I give it a really good press, guys. I'm going to give it a really good press. So now that I've turned all of this part and they are all looking nice and neat, so I'm going to go ahead to go and secure it around the armhole. This is very important. This is the part where I'm going to make sure I arrange them properly, and I'm going to make sure I leave all of the space which I intended at the mid part. Okay, that is why I'm doing this last. Okay, so here I'm just trying to arrange it properly, and I'll go to the sewing machine and secure it together now at the armhole area and at the bottom. Okay, so it doesn't move anymore and they'll become like a one piece together. Okay, so I'm just taking my time here. You can see I'm flipping the lace out. I'm moving the lace. I'm going to make sure that it's going to lay flat and nice. That is one very important part. You see, I'm just showing you guys where we're going to be sewing the armhole and at the bottom to secure the illusion lining to the lace. So I'm just taking all my measurements to be sure that I'm on track. I'm also going to take my side seam measurement to be sure that my bust is correct, to be sure that my waistline is correct. Okay, so now I'll take it to the sewing machine and I'll secure it at the armhole and at the bottom part. Okay, so now I've secured them together at the armhole area, as you can see, and I've also secured it together at the hem. This is what our illusion neckline is looking like at the moment. As you can see, now it doesn't move anymore, okay, because it's been secured at the armhole and also secured at the bottom, so it's never going to move anymore. Okay, and make sure before you get to this stage you need to take your time to arrange it properly, guys. So this is what we have at the moment. It's looking all nice and neat, and our illusion is looking really flawless, guys. So this is really fun to make, and trust me, it's a very technical sewing. You have to keep your mind and body
to this, to creating something like this. Okay, so you don't need to rush. So now I'm just going to be joining the upper part to the skirt part. Okay, as you can see, I'm just pinning them together, and I'm also bringing the lace, the back piece, upper bodies to the skirt bodies, and I'm going to be joining it with the same allowance that I left for them. Okay, so I'm just measuring them, making sure that they are okay. And here's also the front part. I've joined it together already with the skirt, as you can see. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to bring it together with the back. I've also joined the back, the upper bodies to the skirt part. Okay, so I'm going to be joining them together at the armhole area first. Okay, I'm going to join the shoulder. I'm sorry guys. I'm going to be joining them together at the shoulder. You can see that I have a rough edge at the joining part. I'm going to be weaving all of those parts. Okay, so I'm just placing my lining together with my lace, and I'm flipping it over so I can have a clean finish around my armhole, and I'm pinning that down to secure it. Then I'll take it to my sewing machine, then I'll go and sew. So I'll repeat the same step for the both side of my shoulder seam. Okay, so I'll just take it now to my sewing machine. I'll go and sew it down to secure it, guys. So I'm just placing the lace together, and I'm using the lining to flip it over. Okay, good. So now it's been sewn. You can see we have a nice neat edge around the armhole. So what I'm just trying to do here now is just to place my front and my back together, and I'm going to start putting in my measurements, and I'm going to go and shape them together. And practically we're almost done, guys. So I still need to give my dress a really good press. Okay, but I'm just going to put in all of my measurements. I'm going to give it a good press, then we'll sew. As you can see, my lining is wider than my lace. I already explained the reason why I did that, guys, which is very important. My lace stretches. This is going to help me now when I'm shaping it. Okay, so you need to make your lining wider than your lace. Okay, because the lace stretches and the lining doesn't stretch. So after I finish shaping and sewing, all of these bubbles that you see, you're not going to see them no more, because they are going to stretch along with the lace. Okay, so I'm just putting in all my measurements, and I'm just taking it to sew. So now, guys, here's the finished look of the illusion neckline that we just made together. You can see it's looking so nice and beautiful, guys, trust me. So a client actually ordered for this, you know, so it's looking all nice and neat. And let me know if you have any more questions, and I'm going to be answering all of your questions in the comment section. See you guys, bye.